Welcome to Michelle's Making Coffee, Crafts, Cookies, and Cocktails. If you like what you see, give me a thumbs up, subscribe, and turn on that notification bell. Don't forget to comment and let me know what you like.
Welcome and welcome back to those of you returning. I really do appreciate that. Today is National Hat Day, so in honor of that, I have my chapeau upon my head. Here in sunny Florida, it's mostly beach hats. I know those of you up north are probably wearing something a little warmer right now, but that's okay too. It's also National Strawberry Ice Cream Day. So in honor of that, we're gonna make a non-alcoholic cocktail this afternoon. It's gonna be a strawberry milkshake. Very easy and very yummy. We'll start our day with some coffee. Creamer of the day is vanilla caramel. Very yummy. So let's make it a great day and get to crafting. Our first craft today is a blessing sign. And we'll begin by deconstructing an 8x10 canvas. I had picked this canvas up at Hobby Lobby in a package of 2, I believe it was $2.49, so very inexpensive. Using a razor knife, you're going to cut very close to the staples so that you can remove the canvas as well as the strip that'll be left on the inside. You'll want a smooth surface for reattaching the canvas. Once the canvas is removed, I set it aside, and then using my Rust-Oleum chalk paint in linen white, I gave the frame a generous coating. I just did one coat of the paint, but it was fairly generous. I wanted a little bit of the wood grain to show through, to give it a little character, and I'm also going to use the apple barrel black paint and give it a dry brushing to give it a little bit of depth and character as well. Next, I wanted to take the blessing that I had printed out on my Cricut and apply it to the center of the canvas. I had already placed it onto the transfer tape, and now I needed to remove the backing. Remember to just go slowly with this. When you're removing the backing and the transfer tape, you want to be sure to pull it straight back on itself and not pull it upward. You can see I finally found my burnishing tool. So I'm burnishing the design on, and then I'll remove the transfer tape. If the letters pull up, you just push the transfer tape back on, give it a little bit more of a rub, and work slowly with it, and it'll come up. Once the design is attached, I use a little hot glue on the frame to center and hold it in place. I then attach the canvas using my staple gun. Next, we'll need to trim off the excess canvas, and I do this using the razor knife. And there you have it, our blessing sign. Our next craft is a farmhouse tier stand. I utilized a candlestick that I picked up at Goodwill and 2 metal trays. I gave the candlestick 2 coats of the apple barrel black paint. I used my heat gun to speed up the drying process. I then used my Rust-Oleum chalk paint to give it a distressed look and to add some dimension. Next, I took the 2 metal pans that I'd picked up at Goodwill, and using E6000, I attached the candlestick to the top tier. I used a jar of paint to weigh down the candlestick while it was drying. Once it had dried, I applied the E6000 to the base of the candlestick and then applied the second tray. decided that I wanted the piece to have a little more height to it, so I decided to use the tumbling tower game pieces to create 4 legs. Basically 9 of the pieces glued together to make a block 4 times. Once they were all glued together, I used the Apple Barrel black paint to paint them all and the Rust-Oleum chalk paint to give it a distress look. I did this for all 4 pieces before attaching them to the base of the tier stand. Using the Gorilla wood glue and some hot glue, I attached the blocks to the base of the tier stand. And there you have it, our farmhouse tier stand. Our next craft is an inspirational book stack. I used 3 books that I purchased at a thrift store. The thrift store was having a 50% off sale and the books were 99 cents, so I've got 3 books for $1.50 and painted them all with my chalk paint. On 2 of the books, I noticed on the spine that the title of the book was embossed a little bit and it was indented, so I used some spackling putty to fill that in, and once that dried, I gave it another coat of chalk paint. Once the books were completely dry, I applied the quotes I'd printed off of Cricut to the spine of the book. I then gave the entire book a generous coating of Mod Podge to seal it. Next, after stacking the books, I wrapped twine around the books, going in both directions, and tied a knot. I then used the same twine to make a bow, a simple loop bow by wrapping it around my fingers a few times and tying it in a knot. Then attached that using hot glue to the center of the book stack. And there you have it, our inspirational book stack. Our next craft is a Scrabble winter sign. For this craft, I used 2 tags from Dollar Tree's chalk tag package. Comes in a package of 6. You can see I was a little overzealous with the glue here and had to wipe some off, but I was able to get the 2 tags attached so it would be long enough to spell out our word winter. I'm using an old Scrabble game, the Scrabble tiles, to spell out the word winter. I set them all on the tag, getting them spaced right, and then glued them down. This is a really simple craft, but it's a great little accent decor piece to place on my stand. And there you have it, our winter Scrabble sign. Our final craft today is a craft stick planter. For this, I'm using craft sticks, the jumbo sticks that I purchased at Walmart. I think they were $3 for the pack, and I used most of the pack to make this. You're going to make 5 sections that are exactly the same. Each section uses 9 of the craft sticks. 2 will be your top and bottom, and then you'll place the slats going across evenly spaced. Be sure to try to get the corners as even as possible so that when you line up the sides, there won't be any large gaps. To raise the planter up off the surface that it'll be sitting on, I decided to use the 4 tile holders from the Scrabble game. I cut dowels the same length as the tile holder and glued it into the groove. I then glued all 4 pieces to the 4 sides of the base. I used clamps I purchased at Dollar Tree to clamp all 4 sides while the glue was drying. Using hot glue, I glued each of the sides upright and utilized a piece of the tumbling tower game to reinforce each side. I always use paint jars to prop things up while the glue is drying. Once this had all dried, I needed to reinforce the corners. I apologize, when I turned it on the side, you couldn't see very well where I was placing the blocks, but you'll see that in a minute. I glued 2 of the tumbling tower blocks together 4 times and placed those in each of the corners. I painted the entire crate with the apple barrel black paint and then gave it a dry brush distressing with the Rust-Oleum chalk paint in linen white. If you're at all impatient like I am sometimes, use your heat gun to help dry the paint. Here you have a better view of the blocks reinforcing the corners and the base. And there you have it, our craft stick planter. For our delicious refreshment today in honor of National Strawberry Ice Cream Day, a strawberry milkshake, I used 2 scoops of strawberry ice cream, about a 1/2 cup of strawberries, and about a 1/2 cup of milk. Later, I do add that 3rd scoop of ice cream to make it a little bit thicker. I have a magic bullet that I use to blend these kind of drinks. So that's what I do. And then pour it in a glass and add a straw and a little garnish of a strawberry if you like, and enjoy.
Well, folks, that's it for another week. Thank you so much for sticking around to the end. I do appreciate that. If you haven't already, please subscribe and share with your family and friends. Let's make it a great week. We'll see you next Friday, and don't forget to stop and smell the coffee.